Good morning, everybody. John Self here. Welcome to Career Live. Thank you for joining us on this, in Texas, cloudy, overcast day. Looking out, being the local weatherman here, a cloudy, overcast day. We're expecting 100% chance of rain, which is probably a really good thing. We hope you're having a good week and that you've got a great weekend ahead. Today, we want to pick up on some themes we talked about yesterday in our office hours. If you weren't able to join us, it is now up on my YouTube channel, Guiding Your Career, John G. Self, and under the live tab. And we had a major glitch. I had spent 5 hours working on slides and presentations, and then at lunch, while I was munching my healthy salad, I made a correction to the copy, clicked a button, moved it to the file, and it disappeared forever. So 5 hours of work went down the tube. And I think I was a little bit disconsolate for, for much of the rest of the afternoon. So we're recreating all those slides. We're going to repost that in our course curriculum, and it'll be available for a couple of days for our non-members. And then after that, it'll come down. At the end of November, a lot of the content that's being shown now with the self-perspective interviews, the office hours will become a members-only feature at the end of November. So if you know somebody who needs help with a career or has a lot of interest in accelerating their career, then have them become part of your community, your career community. It's $49 a month. That's the low end of the fee. If you want to add on with live one-on-one coaching at that level, you also get significant discounts where you might pay a couple of $100 or $250. If you were just buying the services individually, you can get live one-on-one coaching at a substantial discount. Become a founding member of your career community and accelerate your career. So let's get busy and talk about where we want to go with today's theme. I think that we really believe in this concept of community, and we're going to be making some changes so that some of our public content will go behind go onto the membership page. And so we hope you'll entertain, becoming a member of the community, a founding member, and joining and helping people and helping each other expand and accelerate our careers. I have run into this about 4 times in the last 2 weeks. And basically people are saying, well, I haven't been in the job market for 7 or 8 years, but everything's going to work out. I've never really had a problem. And I think all of this is, you guys have to do what you do, but I'm really not concerned. And the truth is, he said, he reminded me of a famous hospital CEO who said, well, we'll adapt when the time comes. And when the time came, he couldn't adapt fast enough. And what I'm telling you is that if you wait to adapt, it will be too late. Everything will work out is just not a safe thing to say. In today's automated job search environment, nothing could be further from the truth. So, one of the things we talked about yesterday, I want to share with you today. A lot of people talk about being a good CEO of their business, but in reality, they're a bad CEO of themselves. They may run a hospital or run a retail operation or run a manufacturing company with great success and with great quality, but then if you look at their personal career, it's kind of a train wreck. They don't have a plan. They don't have a strategy. They don't have a network. And how can you say you're a good CEO if you don't take care of your own brand? Matching these elements will be central to building a credible career brand. So if you're somebody who runs around and says, I just don't have time to do professional networking, everything will work out. Well, let me explain something to you. We've already seen substantial increases, even with people who have networking, but substantial increases really for people who do not have a established career network to help them make introductions and identify jobs that are not being posted. And it's adding anywhere from 4 to 8 months to that, to the normal job search. So if you're an executive, it's 6 to 8 months, 6 to 9 months. It has been the transition period in the past. Add 4 to 6 or 8 months onto that, especially if you don't have a network. So it's really important that you begin to consider that what got you to where you are today is not going to get you where you want to go with your career. As I said, we did a big course on that yesterday, Mastering the Art of Networking 3.0, and it's now available on Guiding Your Career YouTube. And again, this course, this video, what's about an hour long, will be moved into our career curriculum package, and it'll be available to the public for 3 or 4 days now, and then will be taken down and will be only available to our members. This is, I think it's really covers the waterfront on how to build a networking campaign, which is very interesting. The reason we did this course is, you talk to people and you say, yeah, you kind of network. Yeah, I know that. And then you say, okay, do you know how to network? And I think there's something that I learned in the news business called a pregnant pause. And the truth is, people understand the concept. They understand what people do. But when it gets down to it, they don't know how to do it themselves. So yesterday's course is really defined for people who want more in-depth strategy tactics on networking. Networking 3.0 is basically some of the concepts of earlier networking versions, but it is now tied and aligned intrinsically with a career plan. Why? Because you have to focus your networking. The research shows that you can only really build relationships between 135 and 145, 150 people. Well, if you're not careful, you'll end up with 1,000 connections before you know it. So you have to have a plan to guide your networking. Who do you want to connect with? Why do you want to connect with them? What can they do for you? Now, yes, the cardinal rule of networking is it's not about you, it's for other people, but it's mutual. And if it's a one-way thing, either for them or you, it's not a good connection. And it's not going to develop into a relationship. Remember this: connections do not make job referrals. Why? Because connections don't want to put their reputation on the line if they don't know you and they don't trust you. Relationships are where trust where trust is built. And so you have to limit your number of connections so that you can devote time to building relationships. Otherwise, it's just a LinkedIn numbers game, and that's a silly waste of time. Now, again, this is a critical skill set for your success. And then office hours yesterday covered a lot of information. And it'll be, I think, yes, now they're telling me it'll be available on YouTube for everybody to see through Sunday at midnight. And after that, it'll be a members only piece of content. Automation and AI is really changing everything, and it requires intentionality. And I think that's something, if you don't leave with any other sense today of a word that you want to remember for your career management, is that you have to be intentional. So let's talk about briefly, if you weren't here yesterday, the market news this morning is not very good. There are a couple of really well-respected bond traders and hedge fund managers who say, with the debt, with the war, with the chances of expanding war, with the conflict in Ukraine, with increasing bankruptcies, with the real estate problem, the bond market is roiled. Banks are now having to look at reevaluating their balance sheets because the bond rates are changing. This is not good. And it couldn't come at a worse time if you're a Democrat, because we're going to probably see a recession in an election year. And people vote their pocketbook. They may vote for the devil if they think the devil will help them have a better life. And so that's probably not the best way to describe it, but that's how people make decisions. And so we want a stable election cycle so people can make the right choices for them. But we also want to be prepared in the event that there is a recession. If you are not job search ready, in addition, and you don't have a network, it could take you a year and a half to find a new job if you're at the executive or management level. Why? Because people aren't involved anymore. A lot of times in the past, executives and managers who weren't known, didn't have a brand, didn't have a great reputation, or wasn't a widely known reputation, they were able to get jobs because they were able to get their resume before a recruiter. The recruiters now do not see resumes until the computers winnow down the thousands to hundreds to a few dozen, down to less than a dozen candidates they should be talking to. And these selection criteria computers are pretty amazing and pretty accurate. But it takes out relationship. It takes out the human factor. So you can't say, well, recruiters, when they see my resume, they're going to know I can do the job. they may never see your resume. If you look at 10 resumes submitted online, 8 of them are never seen by a human. So you have to really come forward with a more focused plan. First of all, understand your value. Develop a career strategic plan. And it's just like a business plan. It has the same elements. You go through the same process. You come up with a goal, but the goal may change. Yes, business goals change all the time. But if you want to be a system CEO, then think in those terms. What do you have to do to get to that level? You know, your job market. I'm working on a post now for the new newsletter that says, you know, are you really intentional in managing your career, or is it just happening? Well, if it's just happening, it's not even a 50-50 crapshoot whether you're going to achieve what you want to achieve with your life. And oh, by the way, I hate to be trite, but you only have one life. So why are you wasting time to see what the market will give you? Decide what you want and take it. Develop a networking plan. That's just so important. It's instrumental in you being able to effectively run a job search. It's effectively allows you to be very specific about the next steps, what that job needs to be, and where you want to do it. It's part of your networking plan. You have to have a comm plan, a communications plan. When you're networking, when you're talking to people about who you are, you need to be able to say, what is my goal, and how does my comm plan support the goal? You know, I have a client who shall remain nameless, an extraordinary woman, extraordinary leader. I have such great confidence in her. But everybody thinks of her as a physician executive. Well, she was actually the number 2 in a big Mid-South health system. She is much more than a physician executive. As a matter of fact, being a physician executive, no disrespect meant to the physicians in those roles, but for her, it would be a step back. But the recruiters and everybody who knows her thinks of her in that term. Oh, you're a physician, you must want to be a physician executive. The only way you change that narrative is if your communications plan supports it, if your posting supports it, if your interaction with people at meetings, online, etc., supports it. So you need a comm plan. Then you need to be very, very successful in executing a robust networking strategy. It needs to be thoughtful, it needs to be empathetic, and it needs to be consistent. So I want you to really say, you know, okay, that makes sense, John, but, you know, I'm busy, and, I just don't like doing that stuff. Okay, you want people to accept you as a really class CEO? Then be a class CEO of your own business, the CEO of you. You can't you can't say, well, I'm good here, but I suck over here. No, employers are beginning to look at if they've got a hopscotch career, they're shying away from candidates like that. Why? Because they think, you know, does this person really have a plan? Is this person really focused? And I've already heard some of that rumbling with some former clients that I used to represent for 27 years. They're looking at why does this person move every 2 to 3 years or every 5 years? It may be a perfectly understandable move, but the fact of the matter is, when the computer's looking at your resume before they've had a chance to talk to you, that can hurt you. And so, you know, if you show that, you know, your moves make sense rather than all over the place, you know, that's sort of an incredible thing that you want to avoid. You want to show that you have intentionality, you have purpose, you have focus, and you are consistent in moving up the ladder. If your career goals change, great. Change your plan, change your comm strategy, change what you're telling people, how you post, etc. But you've got to pull it together. Folks, this really is a different market. And Marshall Goldsmith, who wrote a great book that's probably more true today than at any time in my career, what got you here won't get you there. So what's important in your life? Well, for a lot of people, I know this is true for me, it's my family. It's the quality of life. It's the work-life balance. It's the financial security. And it's the ability to service. And I would also add, and I dropped this off for some reason because I was making these slides in a hurry to cover up those that I unbelievably lost. The quality of your work, that's really important. Absolutely, the quality of your work is really a key thing. So you want to do work that you enjoy that really, really enthralls you. And then on Sunday nights, you're looking forward to the week ahead, not because you haven't enjoyed your family or you haven't enjoyed your weekend, but because you're passionate about serving others. You're passionate about the work you do. And these are very, very important qualities. And as you formulate your plan, these factors need to be considered. Now, a lot of people say, John, I really hate networking because, what they don't say is, I don't want to get rejected. Hey, who does? None of us do. And so you want to, you absolutely want to move forward. It looks like we've locked up on some, there it is. It's cleared up now. Everybody hates rejection. When I moved from the news business to PR, that was great. And then I found out that I was going to be selling this helicopter ambulance program to the regional facilities and EMS providers around the Houston area. Well, I was lucky because I had a big brand in front of me, a guy named James H. Red Duke Jr., one of the great characters of trauma surgery in Texas history. And he was widely known. And so that made my job a lot easier. Also, the reputation of Herman, having a helicopter with your name on the side of it. It was not John that was doing this. It was Herman. It was Life Flight. It was Red Duke. But when you start out, you're out there and you're networking for yourself. There's no big brand in front of you. It is what people perceive about you. And there are people out there that are absolute 4+ jerks. And they will hang up on you. They will ridicule you. They will take your call only to jerk you around and then say, please don't ever call me again, as if you have done something wrong. And so I have found that if you follow this protective shield philosophy in your mind and your heart, you'll be better off. First of all, when you're networking, you got to believe in who you are, and you have to be empathetic, and you have to be sincere. You have to be authentic, all those things. Then you have to believe in the value of what you want to accomplish with your life. I'm talking about a passionate commitment. Then you have to believe that no one has the right to stamp on your dreams and goals. No one. And that even on their best damn day, your critics cannot hurt you. It may sting a little bit, but you know what? The sting of them doing that to you and then you continuing with your networking and continuing to build your career is going to be forgotten as you achieve your goals, as you achieve financial security, as you build a quality of life for you and your family. So on their best day, your critics are just jerks and they can't really hurt you. And this is something I earnestly believe. People who think they are too smart, too busy, or too important to help you only have the power that you grant them. So don't get upset if some jerk yells at you and tells you don't ever call him again, or tells you to quit stalking, or something that will hurt your feelings, because that's really what they're trying to do. Don't give them that power. Just say, well, you've been very nice today. Thank you very much, and hang up and move on. I've had people do bad things to me when I was selling helicopters to hospitals after I set up the Life Flight program at Herman with a lot of help. Believe me, it wasn't just John. It was a big, great team. It was a real interesting thing. And so it was really, really a great challenge and something I love. But then when I was out selling helicopters to hospitals, people knew less about Herman. They saw the videos. We had tons of videos about how the helicopter was saving people's lives, et cetera. But then it was kind of a one-on-one. It was me and them. And I met a guy at the old AHA annual convention where they had all these exhibits. It was huge, and it was in Atlanta. And it was the first year we were ever exhibited, and people were just crowded around our booth. We didn't even have a helicopter in the booth. We just had a video projector, a video replay machine playing news clip after news clip after news clip. And these people were saying, my God. And everybody was complaining because our hallway was just jammed as people were trying to see the video. That's just a 21-inch color video, old school, with a VCR. That was our exhibit. And a guy, a VP from a very, very well-known hospital, he said he wanted to set up a call. He confirmed the call had been set up with his boss. And he said, he's a little skeptical, but I've really been talking to him. And when I called, his secretary said, oh, yes, he's been expecting your call. And when I picked up the phone, I said, Mr. So-and-so, this is John Self. And he started screaming, yelling, hollering, no, no, no. I think he questioned my sainted mother's heritage and perhaps her premarital social habits, but he was really, nasty, said, no, you guys are crazy and you're bad for healthcare, and hung up the phone. About a year later, we put a program in at a competing hospital, and within 2 years, I don't know how much impact this had on this guy's career. I think jerks just normally shoot themselves in the foot. He was out on his tail. So, I've told that story over and over again. I won't use his name because I think he's passed on now, but his career was marginalized because he didn't treat people well. So even though you're reluctant to get yelled at or get dissed when you're networking, especially when you move the networking to the one-on-one telephone calls, that kind of one-on-one follow-up, if you keep your position on the high ground, you're going to come out on top. Make your brand about, this is really important, because your brand is basically people, that's their interaction with you. Your reputation is sort of what happens on social media, and you can post on social media and shape that, but managing your brand is what you have control of. So the idea of helping others is a incredibly strong pillar for a brand. The willingness to extend a helping hand, even when you don't have time. And if you lead with empathy and authenticity and devotion, man, what a powerful combination. Your market advantage. Most servant leaders don't have a clue. They're not servant leaders. You don't have to call yourself a servant leader. Matter of fact, that is just an incredibly bad cliche these days. When a lot of people, when you say what kind of leadership style you have, they say servant leader and hope that you don't ask them anymore. And they really can't really articulate what that really means. Well, if you follow these rules in networking, that if it's not about you, but it's helping someone else, if you nail your job, if you have a good record, if you're managing your brand successfully, you will have a rewarding career financially and professionally. Now, here's the takeaways. Be a respected, competent CEO of you. You can't be a great CEO of a company and do a terrible job managing your career. They're incompatible. And this one over here, when you're not managing your career, is going to bite you. Understand your value. That's so important. That helps you stay focused, and it helps you with your communications. Develop a career plan. It's entirely possible that we're going to face some really tough economic times. Depends on who you're listening to. There was a lot of information this morning in Business Insider about predictions. 8 months ago, a year ago, everybody was talking about a soft landing, and it was very rosy. And my friend and confidant and advisor, Peter Piccinini, said, who's a financial advisor, said, they're just talking their book, meaning they're just trying to promote what they're doing and their investments so they can profit from all of this. But the truth is, it's looking kind of grim. The debt's a problem. The political environment's unstable. The geopolitical climate's unstable. There's a lot of issues. The bond market's really in a mess. It's going to affect the bank's credit ratings. So everything can happen. You need to have a plan. You need to be job search ready. Then you also have to master the art of networking 3.0. And you can network, but if you're not networking based on your strategic plan, if those two programs aren't in alignment, you're kind of wasting your time. Cultivate your brand, be intentional, be consistent. So I hope that's information that's been helpful for you today. I've been talking about branding and networking since I first started doing presentations to the American College of Healthcare Executives Congress with Craig Hahnemann back in the mid 90s. And so when I talked about your personal brand, I'm not the first person who did it. People were really enthralled with that. The problem is that was just kind of a passing fad for so many people. Even though Tom Peters, in Search of Excellence, wrote a great article in Fast Company magazine, and it's still in circulation out there, and it's called A Brand Call You. And he really talked about the fact that going forward, you have to manage your career as a brand manager might manage a product or service. If you're in the Procter & Gamble environment, if you know anything about it, you know that the brand managers are absolutely focused intently, intentionally on being sure that their brand is successful, that's respected, and all those. So they're taking care of all of those issues. That's their job, to be sure that it is a successful product. And so you have to apply the same rigor, the same passion to your career. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat box. I have not had a lot coming in this week. So if nobody's got any questions, I'll wait just a second or two. Next week, we're working right now on our next Career Live. We're also setting up our next interview for Self Perspective. It's with Mike Lieb. Mike Lieb is in the process of building a executive on demand service. He's currently doing a major physician practice turnaround on the East Coast. He's just finished another a turnaround in Michigan, and he's going to be talking about how he's building his business and how he's networking his business. And so I think that'll be really very interesting. The TD Smyers interview, our first interview, he's a fascinating guy as well. That interview is still posted on YouTube, and you can see that on replay. So I hope this has been helpful, and we'll put some promotions up on office hours next week. Now, keep in mind, office hours will continue to be available to the public through the end of, what did I say, November, December. It's the team will tell me. And then after that, it will be a members-only feature. So, and a lot of our other content that you've been seeing for free will be a members-only feature. And it's just the natural progression of my brand. People say, hey, we really like it. That's great. But I need to, if I'm going to spend all this time doing it, it needs to be part of a profit center. And so that's the next kind of evolution for John G. Self Media and johngself.com. Again, if you have any suggestions on how we can make your career community better, how we can serve you better, please let me know at john@johngself.com. Call me. I'd love to get your thoughts. And we're going to continue building out this program, and we'll let you know about some other things we're developing. I think we've just about got the newsletter issue resolved, and so that's another thing for me to do. It's a great time. It's about 7:58 on Thursday morning. The rain has not started, but we are anticipating it. So I wish everybody a great rest of the Thursday, a wonderful Friday, and a great weekend. Cheers, everyone, and I'll see you back here next Thursday morning for Career Live as part of your career community.